Most people believe power comes from speaking louder, from explaining faster, from proving themselves right. They believe that if they just defend themselves clearly enough, people will finally understand them. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Power has never belonged to those who explain. From childhood, you were trained to defend yourself. When you were blamed, you were taught to explain. When you were misunderstood, you were taught to clarify. When you were attacked, you were taught to prove your innocence. No one ever told you that this habit quietly destroys your authority, because the moment you defend yourself, you accept the other person as the judge. You place yourself on trial, and trials are never fair. Powerful people understand something most people never do. Perception matters more than truth. Silence is louder than arguments, and control begins where explanation ends. Watch carefully how power works in the real world. The people at the top do not rush to explain themselves. They do not panic when accused. They do not fight every narrative. They pause. They observe. They let the other person speak. And in that silence, something strange happens. The attacker becomes uncomfortable. The accuser starts explaining. The roles quietly reverse. This audiobook is not about becoming cruel. It is not about manipulation for ego. It is about understanding the brutal mechanics of human behavior. Why do confident people speak less? Why does silence feel threatening? Why does defending yourself make you look weaker, even when you are right? And why does the need to be understood often come from fear, not strength? If you have ever felt drained after explaining yourself, if you have ever lost respect while trying to prove the truth, if you have ever wondered why calm people dominate rooms without speaking, then you are exactly where you need to be. Because once you understand this rule, you stop reacting, and you start controlling. Chapter 1. Why Power Hates Explanation. Power has a strange allergy. It reacts badly to explanations. The moment you start explaining yourself, power quietly steps back. Not because you are wrong, not because your explanation lacks logic, but because explanation changes the frame of the interaction. When you explain, you signal one dangerous thing. You feel the need to be understood. And the need to be understood is the first visible crack in authority. In human psychology, power is not granted by truth. It is granted by perception. And perception follows a brutal rule. The person who explains is rarely the person in control. Think about real life, not movies, not books, real situations. When a confident leader is accused, do they rush to justify themselves? No. They pause. When a respected figure is misunderstood, do they flood the room with clarifications? No. They remain still. Because powerful people understand something instinctively, explanation lowers status. Why? Because explanation places you below the listener. It subtly says, I need you to agree. I need you to accept my version. I need your validation. And power never asks for validation. From childhood, most people are trained in the opposite direction. You are taught that clarity is strength, that honesty will protect you, that if you just explain properly, everything will be fine. But this training ignores one uncomfortable reality of human behavior. People do not reward clarity. They reward confidence. They do not respect logic. They respect emotional positioning. And explanation is an emotional giveaway. The more detailed your defense, the more people sense anxiety beneath it. Even if your words are perfect, your emotional posture is not. This is why in arguments, the calm person often wins, even when they are wrong, and the emotional one loses, even when they are right. Power operates on signals, not sentences. Silence is a signal. Stillness is a signal. Refusal to explain is a signal. It says, I am not on trial. I do not need to convince. I am comfortable with misunderstanding. And that comfort is terrifying to insecure minds. When someone cannot pull an explanation out of you, they lose leverage. They start questioning themselves. They fill the silence with assumptions, doubts, and insecurity. This is not manipulation. This is human psychology in its raw form. Explanation keeps you trapped in reaction. Power lives in response, or better yet, restraint. The world does not listen to those who explain. It watches those who do not. And once you understand this, you stop fighting narratives. You let them collapse on their own. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Silence. Silence is not the absence of power. It is the presence of control. Most people fear silence because they misunderstand it. They think silence means weakness, confusion, lack of answers. But in human psychology, silence sends a very different signal. Silence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty disrupts dominance. When you speak, you reveal position. When you argue, you reveal intention. When you explain, you reveal need. But when you remain silent, you reveal nothing. And the mind hates emptiness. Human beings are wired to fill gaps. When information is missing, the brain rushes to complete the picture. That is why silence feels uncomfortable. Not for the silent person, but for the observer. In social dynamics, the person who speaks first often loses leverage. They expose their emotional state. They expose urgency. They expose fear or confidence. The silent person exposes nothing. This is why interrogators use silence, why negotiators pause, why experienced leaders listen longer than they speak. Silence forces the other person to move. They begin to talk. They begin to justify. They begin to explain themselves. And without realizing it, they step into the lower position. Silence flips roles. It turns the accuser into the defendant, the aggressive into the anxious, the loud into the exposed. This is not theory. It happens every day, in offices, relationships, arguments, and power struggles. When someone attacks you verbally, they expect resistance. Resistance confirms relevance. But silence does something unexpected. It denies engagement. The attacker begins to doubt their own strength. Their words echo without resistance. Their confidence evaporates. Silence does not challenge them. It destabilizes them. Because without reaction, there is no confirmation of power. There is another layer to silence, one that most people never consider. Silence signals self-sufficiency. It says, I am not desperate for this conversation. I do not need to win this moment. I am comfortable where I stand, and comfort is magnetic. People are drawn to those who do not chase validation. They respect those who do not beg to be understood. This is why silence often commands more respect than the most intelligent argument. But silence must be clean, not passive-aggressive, not sulking, not emotional withdrawal. Clean silence is calm, grounded, intentional. It is not avoidance. It is selection. You are choosing not to engage because engagement would reduce your position. In power dynamics, restraint is louder than reaction. Silence also protects you from one dangerous trap: overexposure. The more you speak, the more you give others material to use against you. Your words can be twisted. Your intentions can be questioned. Your emotions can be exploited. Silence removes ammunition. It gives nothing to hold, nothing to manipulate, nothing to distort. This is why powerful people are careful with words, not because they lack thoughts, but because they understand consequences. Silence keeps the frame intact. And once you learn to sit comfortably inside silence, you gain access to something rare: composure. Composure changes everything. It changes how people approach you. It changes how conflicts unfold. It changes how authority settles around you. People begin to measure their words around you. They slow down. They hesitate. Because silence forces reflection. And reflection weakens aggression. But silence is only the beginning. There is something even more unsettling than silence, something that comes next. In the next chapter, we will explore what happens when silence is combined with emotional neutrality. When you don't just stay quiet, you stay untouched. Chapter 3. Emotional neutrality, the ultimate power move. Silence changes the room, but emotional neutrality changes the game. Many people learn to stay quiet, yet their emotions still leak through. A tightened jaw, a restless posture, a forced calm that hides tension. And power reads these signals instantly. Because power is not fooled by silence alone. It watches emotional stability. Emotional neutrality means something specific. You are not pulled. You are not provoked. You are not emotionally invested in the outcome. This is deeply unsettling to most people. Human interaction runs on emotional exchange. Anger invites anger. Fear invites dominance. Defensiveness invites attack. But neutrality invites nothing. When someone tries to provoke you and finds no emotional surface to grip, their strategy collapses. They push harder. They escalate. They search for reaction. And each failed attempt exposes them. This is why emotional neutrality is the ultimate power move. It removes you from the emotional economy. You are no longer trading reactions. You are no longer negotiating moods. You are no longer participating in emotional warfare. You are observing. Observation changes hierarchy. The observer holds leverage because they are not consumed by the moment. They see patterns instead of insults, intent instead of words, strategy instead of drama. This is why experienced negotiators remain calm under pressure, why seasoned leaders don't raise their voices, why true authority never rushes emotionally. Emotion creates urgency. Urgency creates mistakes. Neutrality creates time, and time creates control. There is a myth that emotional neutrality makes you cold or detached, that it means you don't care. This is false. Neutrality does not remove feeling. It removes compulsion. You still feel, but you choose when and if to express. This choice is power, because most people are ruled by their emotional reflexes. They react before they think. They speak before they assess. They defend before they understand the frame. Neutrality interrupts that reflex. It gives you space. And space is where intelligent decisions are made. Watch what happens when someone attacks you and you remain emotionally neutral. No anger, no justification, no visible discomfort, just presence. They begin to question themselves. Was the attack effective? Did it land? Did it miss? Uncertainty creeps in, and uncertainty weakens momentum. Momentum is what aggression feeds on. Neutrality starves it. This is why emotional neutrality is more powerful than confidence. Confidence can still be shaken. Neutrality cannot. Confidence seeks to hold a position. Neutrality does not need one. It floats above the conflict. And from that position, you are no longer inside the game. You are shaping it. This chapter is not teaching you to suppress emotion. Suppression leaks. It is teaching you to contain emotion. Containment is calm. Containment is grounded. Containment is deliberate. When you master emotional neutrality, silence becomes effortless. Explanation becomes unnecessary. And reaction becomes optional. You stop asking, "How should I respond?" and start asking, "Is a response required at all?" That question alone filters out most conflicts, and those that remain are ones you can handle with precision. In the next chapter, we will examine what happens when people try to test you anyway, when they probe, when they provoke, when they look for cracks, and why most tests fail once neutrality is in place. Chapter 4. Tests, Provocations, and Power Probes. Every time you enter a new social environment, you are tested. Not openly, not politely, but subtly. Power does not announce itself. It probes. These probes come in many forms: a sarcastic comment, a dismissive tone, a sudden challenge to your opinion, a joke that lands just close enough to feel intentional. Most people respond without realizing what is happening. They explain, they react, they defend, they laugh nervously, they overcorrect, and in doing so, they answer the test. Power probes exist for one reason: to locate your boundaries. They are not attacks. They are measurements. The person probing is asking, how much pressure can this person handle? Will they bend? Will they crack? Will they chase approval? Your response determines your position. This is where emotional neutrality becomes critical. When you are neutral, tests lose their effectiveness. Because probes rely on reaction, They need confirmation. They need movement. They need emotional leakage. Without that, the probe returns nothing. Imagine throwing a stone into still water. You expect ripples. Now imagine throwing that stone into a void. No splash, no feedback. That is what neutrality creates. When someone tries to provoke you and you respond calmly, or not at all, they receive no data. And when there is no data, the test fails. Failed tests create hesitation. The person probing begins to question themselves. They become cautious. They slow down. Because uncertainty at the beginning of a power dynamic is dangerous for the aggressor. There are 3 common mistakes people make during power probes. The first is over-explaining. They rush to clarify. They want to remove tension, but tension is not the problem. Exposure is. The second mistake is emotional engagement. They take the probe personally. They respond with irritation or defensiveness. This signals vulnerability. The third mistake is forced confidence. They try to dominate back. They escalate unnecessarily. This reveals insecurity. True power does none of these. True power stays grounded. It does not rush to correct perceptions. It does not chase respect. It does not mirror aggression. Instead, it allows the probe to pass through without friction. Sometimes this looks like a pause. Sometimes it looks like a simple acknowledgement. Sometimes it looks like silence. What matters is not the form, but the absence of emotional reaction. Power tests are unavoidable. They are part of human hierarchy, but passing them does not require clever responses. It requires restraint. When you do not react, you signal that your internal state is not available for manipulation, and that signal travels fast. Others observe it. They adjust their behavior accordingly. This is why calm people are rarely tested twice, not because they are feared, but because they are unreadable, and unreadable people are risky to challenge. As you move forward, you will encounter more probes. Some will be obvious. Some will be disguised as humor. Some will come from people who smile while doing it. Do not hunt these tests. Do not anticipate them obsessively. Just remain neutral, because the moment you stop caring about passing the test, you pass it automatically. In the next chapter, we will explore what happens after the tests stop, when people begin to adapt to your presence, when they change tone, change posture, change strategy, and why this shift marks a deeper level of influence. Chapter 5. When people start adjusting to you. There is a moment in every power dynamic when the tests stop. Not because you won an argument, not because you asserted dominance, but because people recalibrated around you. This shift is subtle. Voices soften, interruptions decrease, questions replace challenges. You didn't announce a boundary. You didn't demand respect. You simply remained unchanged while others expected movement. And that stillness forced adaptation. Human beings constantly adjust to social pressure. They read tone, posture, response speed, emotional availability. When they sense volatility, they push. When they sense stability, they pause. When someone realizes they cannot provoke you, cannot rush you, cannot extract emotional energy from you, they shift strategy. This is not submission. It is alignment. People begin to speak differently around you. They choose words more carefully. They hesitate before crossing lines, not out of fear, but out of uncertainty. Uncertainty is powerful, because when someone doesn't know how to move you, they stop trying. And when they stop trying to move you, you gain space. That space changes your position in the room. You are no longer reacting to dynamics. You are shaping them. This is when influence becomes passive. You no longer need to manage interactions actively. Your presence does the work. This is why some people seem naturally authoritative. They are not louder. They are not more aggressive. They are consistent. Consistency creates trust. Trust creates gravity, and gravity pulls behavior toward it. At this stage, something important happens internally. You stop scanning conversations for threats. You stop preparing defenses in advance. You stop rehearsing explanations. Your attention shifts outward. You begin to observe more clearly. You notice who speaks from insecurity, who seeks validation, who hides behind humor, who masks fear with control. This clarity deepens your composure, and composure deepens your influence. People begin to come to you differently, not with tests, but with information, not with challenges, but with questions. They sense that your reactions are measured, that your silence is deliberate, that your presence is stable, and stability is rare. Most social environments are chaotic. Egos collide, emotions fluctuate, energy spikes and crashes. When you remain steady inside that chaos, you become an anchor. Anchors do not chase movement. Movement gathers around them. This is why real power often looks quiet. It doesn't demand attention. It attracts it. But there is a danger at this stage. The danger is comfort. When people begin to adjust to you, they may begin to lean on you. They may seek reassurance. They may offload emotional weight. They may expect availability. This is where many lose their edge. They confuse influence with obligation. But influence is not responsibility, and power is not service. In the next chapter, we will explore how to maintain authority without becoming accessible, how to stay respected without becoming consumed, and why scarcity must be preserved even when others grow comfortable. Chapter 6. Scarcity, Distance, and Strategic Absence. Influence is fragile, not because it is weak, but because it is easily diluted. Once people begin to adjust to you, a new risk appears: overexposure. The more accessible you become, the more predictable you become. And predictability is the slow erosion of power. Human psychology assigns value through contrast. What is always available is rarely respected. This is why scarcity changes perception. Scarcity does not mean disappearance. It means controlled presence. It is the difference between being absent and being unreachable. Strategic absence is not avoidance. It is calibration. You choose when to engage. You choose when to withdraw. You decide the rhythm of access, and rhythm controls hierarchy. People unconsciously measure importance by how easily they can reach you. When access is effortless, your value flattens. When access requires timing, attention increases. This is why powerful figures are not constantly visible, not because they are busy, but because constant visibility weakens gravity. Distance creates anticipation. Anticipation creates respect. This principle applies everywhere: in leadership, in negotiation, in social circles, and in private relationships. When you step back at the right moment, people lean forward. When you remain silent during unnecessary exchanges, your words carry more weight later. When you decline availability without explanation, you preserve your position. Explanation again would weaken the effect. Strategic absence also protects your internal state. Constant interaction drains composure. Constant engagement invites emotional noise. Distance filters that noise. It allows you to reset, to observe patterns, to return with clarity. This is why those who hold power long-term master withdrawal as much as presence. They know when to exit conversations early. They know when not to reply immediately. They know when not to participate at all. This restraint is misread by many as arrogance. It is not. It is self-preservation. There is another uncomfortable truth here. People respect boundaries they cannot cross. When you make yourself endlessly accessible, you teach others that your time is negotiable. When you create distance without apology, you teach them that it is not. This is not cruelty. It is structure. Structure creates safety, and safety creates trust. Strategic absence also reveals intentions. When you step back, you see who reaches out with purpose and who reaches out only for reassurance. You learn who values your presence and who merely consumes it. This information is power, because power is not only about influence, it is about selection. Who you allow close, who you allow access, who you allow to speak into your space. Scarcity makes those decisions clearer. And once you learn to step away without guilt, your presence becomes deliberate, not automatic, not reactive, intentional. In the next chapter, we will move inward, because true power does not depend on others adjusting. It depends on what happens when you no longer need the interaction at all, when independence replaces attachment, and when walking away becomes your greatest leverage. Chapter 7. Radical Autonomy, the Power of Not Needing. There is a final shift in power that most people never reach. Not because it is hidden, but because it is uncomfortable. This shift begins the moment you no longer need the outcome. Need is invisible, but it shapes everything. It shapes tone. It shapes posture. It shapes timing. And power can sense need instantly. The need to be accepted. The need to be chosen. The need to be understood. The need to stay connected. Each one weakens your position. Radical autonomy removes that weakness. Autonomy does not mean isolation. It does not mean detachment from people. It means detachment from dependence. You are present, but not attached. Engaged, but not invested in validation. Open, but not available on demand. This is why autonomy is unsettling. When someone realizes you are not seeking anything from them, they lose leverage. There is nothing to withhold, nothing to threaten, nothing to offer that controls you. This is the quiet moment when power reverses. People begin to sense that you can leave, not dramatically, not angrily, calmly, and the ability to leave is the most powerful position in any interaction, because power respects self-sufficiency. Those who can walk away are treated differently. They are listened to more carefully. They are negotiated with more respectfully. They are tested less frequently, not because they dominate, but because they are not trapped. Radical autonomy also changes your internal dialogue. You stop asking, what should I say to keep this? How do I avoid losing this? How do I stay relevant here? And start asking, is this aligned? Is this worth my energy? Does this deserve my presence? These questions filter your life. They remove noise. They remove obligation. They remove fear-based decisions. Autonomy replaces urgency with clarity. When urgency disappears, so does manipulation. Manipulation only works when something is at stake emotionally. When you are whole without the outcome, pressure loses its effect. This is why powerful people rarely chase. They allow others to move toward them. Not as a tactic, but as a consequence of independence. Radical autonomy does not make you cold. It makes you selective. You choose relationships. You choose alliances. You choose conversations. You are no longer pulled by scarcity, because scarcity no longer lives inside you. And this inner abundance is what others feel. They sense that you are not negotiating identity. You are not proving worth. You are not seeking permission. You are simply present, by choice. This is the paradox of power. The less you need it, the more it appears. The less you chase control, the more control settles around you. The less you fear loss, the more stable everything becomes. Radical autonomy is not a trick. It is not a mindset you perform. It is a decision you embody, a decision to be complete before interaction, a decision to stand firm without resistance, a decision to walk away without anger. And once that decision is made, everything changes. In the final chapter, we will bring all of this together, not as rules, not as tactics, but as an identity. From reacting to selecting, from explaining to standing, from needing to leading, closing speech, from connection to control. Power was never something you had to chase. It only appeared that way because you were taught to seek it outside yourself. You were taught to explain, to justify, to remain available, to prove intention. But throughout this journey, you've seen a different truth. Power does not reward clarity. It rewards composure. It does not respond to honesty. It responds to positioning. And it does not come to those who need it. It gathers around those who don't. You learned why explanation lowers authority, why silence disrupts aggression, why emotional neutrality disarms manipulation, why tests exist, and why restraint passes them, why people adjust when you don't move, why distance preserves gravity, and why autonomy ends leverage. None of these are tricks. They are reflections of how human behavior actually works. The world does not follow the loudest voice. It follows the most stable presence. When you stop reacting, others begin recalibrating. When you stop explaining, narratives lose power. When you stop chasing acceptance, respect appears. This is not dominance. This is alignment. You are no longer trying to control outcomes. You are controlling access. You are no longer defending identity. You are choosing engagement. You are no longer negotiating worth. You are standing in it. This is what separates players from pieces. Pieces react. Players select. Pieces explain. Players observe. Pieces need outcomes. Players remain complete without them. And completeness is the rarest leverage of all. Carry this quietly. Do not announce it. Do not perform it. Do not seek validation for it. Let it shape your timing, your silence, your distance, your choices. Power does not require permission. It recognizes itself. And once you stop reaching for it, you'll notice something subtle. It was never outside you to begin with.